Hi friends, welcome to another garden stroll, semi-edited. I used to say unedited. Sometimes they come straight out of the camera onto YouTube. Sometimes we take out a few things, or I tried it like last week, I tried to drop in a lot of things that helped understand, but that's because we're doing a bit more of a conversation there. I'm starting in the kitchen here because I'm, last week, sorry, there's paint on my counter. There's actually paint everywhere. So this is quite interesting. Last week, somebody said, hey, I see that you have paint samples on your wall. Have you decided yet? And I didn't realize they were in the background of that video. And I said, my answer was, yeah, I decided I hate them all. But it actually lit a fire under my butt to be like, make this decision. I've had those paint samples around forever. And I know that my window for getting indoor projects done is, we are there. Like, honestly, this is actually too late. I should have done this before. I'm like, just get this over with. I really need to repaint the trim in here too, which is quite beat up. But I did want to warm up the wall color a little bit. So I, anyway, chose a different color. This is a long story about paint. We're going to get on with the point. The color is called, don't judge it now, because this is just one coat, which you'll see. Actually, you can see up here how bad of a painter I am. The color is Stirabout. It's a Pharaoh and Ball color. It's kind of in the same color tone as what I had, which I'll show you in a second here. What I had before, it's just warmer. You know, everything in this house was painted by me, with the exception of one wall in our living room, which we got repainted a year or two ago, in 2011. That's the last time I painted everything, so I am so out of practice. Anyway, 2011 was sort of when cool grays were coming in, and so I went cooler on a lot of colors than I feel like I should have, and I was just kind of yearning for some warmth. So I did this color, which is, it looks pretty gray over here in the camera at least. It's a beige. Also, I have to work with a very warm floor tile color in here. So I think this works. But let me show you how bad of a painter I am. Oh, the color looks absolutely wretched right now, but can you see how patchy this is? I mean, that's just the first coat, obviously, but like, boy, I sucked at it. Also, this is orange. God, oh my God, it's so bad. This is orange peel texture, which I hate. I hate texture of any kind on walls. When we redid our living room, we had them do it as flat of a texture as we possibly could, which is what I would do anywhere. I abhor this texture. It's better than the sandpaper finish, but not by much. And so it's hard. You really gotta work on it and have a big nap roller to get in those nooks and crannies. So anyway, that's what the wall looks like without the stuff hanging there. So that's sort of the wall color, although it's off. It looks quite yellow in here right now. But this is the, you can't tell. Maybe if I make this a little brighter, that maybe you can kind of tell. So that's the old color. I'm not painting up there because we are actually going to extend the backsplash tile up to there. After a while, I was like, why didn't we just put it up there? And why have that one little painted area? So I'm just waiting for we've had the tile for like months now. I'm just waiting for the tile guy to come do that for us, because I was able to find this tile again. Anyway, let's go talk about gardening.
Hey, it's me jumping in here because I totally forgot to talk about this during the video. Last October, I went to Maine, and I don't think I talked about it much on the channel because I think this was all like a little bit under wraps. I was unclear as to how much I was supposed to, like, allowed to share about this at the time. But I went out to Maine for a week to go work on a really cool project with Epic Gardening. And Home Depot. So basically, it's a garden makeover series done by Home Depot, but essentially powered by Epic Gardening. Epic Gardening ran the whole thing. And it was the coolest opportunity. And it truly is essentially like an old-fashioned HGTV show, where it's one episode a week comes out. I think there's 6 episodes maybe, or maybe more, maybe 8. The first one came out this past Friday, so I will put a link to that for you to see that. So we did a whole garden, and this was with a professional film crew. It was really interesting to see that all come together. But so basically the cast was Jock from Epic Gardening, Chai Ming from Coastal Homestead. They were sort of like the key presenters. They're sort of the people who are there for the whole project. And then they brought in me, and then they brought in Graylin from Urban Gardening with Gray. He's from Texas. And both Graylin and I both sort of brought in our own thing. I ended up kind of coming in as kind of a container person. I did some other stuff too, but they kind of brought me in as the container person. So it was very cool to pull together. It was exhausting. I had no idea what went into filming it's like how you would film a TV show. They filmed it that way. The production crew does TV shows. So I had no idea how much went into all that. And then of course, there was a binder of all the things we were going to do each day. And then we just kept running into challenge after challenge after challenge. And certainly the biggest challenge was that there were so many rocks. I mean, I knew there were rocks in Maine. I didn't know. I had no idea how many rocks are in Maine. So poor Jock, I mean, every time we tried to dig a hole, there was a rock. And poor Jock ended up like digging rocks out like all the time. And in fact, we got quite far behind schedule, and sometimes some of the crew guys jumped in to try to help us dig out rocks and stuff. And it was amazing. Anyway, long story short, the first episode is out. It's on the Home Depot Gardening channel. The series is called From Scratch, and we are creating a new garden for, actually she's a member of the Epic Gardening team, of the staff of corporate Epic Gardening. You don't normally see her on camera, but they have a great dog, and it's Mel and Pete, and they have this adorable dog. And anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you check it out because it's going to get cool. Now, I'm not sure which episodes are like the bigger episodes that I'm in, but I'm not sure if I'm in. Actually, I don't even know. I don't know if I'm in every episode or not because everything got kind of shifted around with all the schedule changes. So you'll just have to watch and find out, but I hope you check that out. So it's beautiful out here today. It's quite windy. It'd be beautiful if it weren't super windy. I'm trying to stay a little bit out of the wind so we don't blow out the mic, which I've probably got all kinds of rustling on it now. Yeah, the weather is the forecast is good for this week. It's mostly highs in the low, mid 40s to high 50s, with the lowest low being 29. I think there's only one night where it's forecast to get below freezing. However, they're talking about possibly a polar vortex after that, which is very, I don't know about a polar vortex, but it's very common. We almost always have a big snowstorm in March. The channel is full of snowstorms in March videos because I always like to share my pain. Actually, on the Substack newsletter that came out yesterday, you can see it on Substack if you haven't already subscribed and didn't see it already. I shared that we've had these terrible snowstorms before, and I pulled up pictures from 2013, and let me turn this around so you can see this. So in the Substack video, I post, newsletter, I posted a photo. I'm trying to get to a good spot where you can, let's go over here. Oh, you got a good stick there, huh, Darwin? So the angle that those photos were sort of taken from was somewhere, oh, the sun's gonna be right in the way now, but let's see if we can get a little protection from the sun here, was basically from here. And it's photos of the giant cedar tree that used to be right outside the living room window there that basically just almost, it did kind of a slow lean into our house. So we had to take it down, and it was planted right in here, basically. Right about in here is where that was growing. And of course we were really bummed that we had lost this tree. And then we took that tree out, and the amount of additional light in our house was revolutionary. I'm like, why didn't we do that sooner? And actually, I couldn't believe that was only 2013 because it feels like it was farther ago than that. But Anyway, so none of this garden existed then because there was this enormous cedar tree that took up basically this whole area. So that was an example of good things coming out of those kinds of snowstorms. Actually, those pictures were interesting when I went through them because there was other damage in that storm that we had too, and most of the trees that are in there we don't have anymore. For what, like one of them was the serviceberry, which got completely bent over. That, of course, is gone. So that was kind of interesting. Let's talk about happy things. That was a happy thing in the end. Let's talk about happy things. Oh, Darwin, careful, bud. Oh, careful, careful. You got the tipsies today. We have snowdrops, you guys. We have snowdrops on the mound. I don't know, you probably can't see them from here, but they are here, they're coming up. Not a lot of them yet, but here we go. Here's some. I want to be a little careful about walking up here so I don't crush any of them. But they're sort of, you know, dotted all over the place. I have a theory. These all look like new ones to me. Well, because some of these are certainly new ones. Like the ones down here are because I think I just hadn't come that far down yet. But here's my theory. So remember how the bulb mound was great? Very great that first year. And then the second year, not so good. And then last year I like really reinvested. I'm like, we are gonna make this thing work. I think that, I've been planting everything at the same depth. And bulbs are pretty good at being able to pull themselves up and down to be the right depth. I know daffodils do that for sure. I guess I shouldn't say that for all bulbs, but I know that daffodils have the ability to pull themselves down farther into the soil or up more. Oh, the neighbor's storm door is banging around. Or up as needed. I don't know if other bulbs do that. So most of these snowdrops were planted way deeper than they should be, and I haven't worried about it much. But you can tell how close they are to the ground, that they were planted pretty deep. So I'm hoping that they sort of pull themselves up, and maybe some of those were just way too deep, and that's why it wasn't great that second year. I don't know. Anyway, I suspect that has something to do with it. And I think, maybe going forward, what I should do is, as I make that bulb mound, increase that bulb mound, if I need to put more in there, maybe what I should do in the future is create little pockets and just hand plant individual bulbs rather than mixing them all together to get that going. It's a work in progress for sure. There is supposed to be around here, there are snowdrops that grow through here, and I don't see any sign of those, but again, I don't really want to go rooting around underneath the leaves too much here. And I haven't seen any sign of the winter aconites by the back door yet, and I did just check that yesterday. But let's go into the woods and go find us some skunk cabbage, because I'm sure those are blooming now. Well, here's a daffodil coming up in the wood. There's some daffodils coming up there. Oh, lots of daffodils coming up. Most of the daffodils in here I planted in here, but there's some that ended up in here because like they just clumps got thrown out here, and there were daffodils mixed in them. Let's see. It's always you got to really be on the lookout for the skunk cabbage flowers because they blend in with the general forest floor. Well, here's one, but I'm surprised we're not seeing the distinct. Is that? I don't know if that is skunk cabbage. That's got to be though, because they look like purple horns basically. When the flower, here we go. Maybe that's a flower that hasn't opened yet. Here we go. So this is skunk cabbage. This is eastern skunk cabbage. It's a native here. I did not plant any of these. They were here. So this is the flower, which is not fully open yet, or actually this is the calyx. The flower is actually inside of there. And when it opens, the flower is pollinated by ground, like beetles and stuff like that. So the flower will open up and they crawl in there to pollinate it. But this is apparently a flower that's developing. This is one that's not fully open yet, but that's the calyx starting to form there. We have had some rain. We had a fair bit of rain on Friday, and again yesterday a little bit. And then there's quite a bit of rain in the forecast. And actually I found two cool weather-related websites in the past week. One of them was UW, University of Wisconsin's, like climatology page, which I don't know how I haven't seen this before. Really interesting. Anyway, just with very interesting looks at where we're at on things in terms of this season and also looking ahead. And the forecast is for a wet spring. They are predicting that we're going to have a wet spring. And a wet spring is, I mean, great for the garden, not great for the gardener, but good for the garden, which is good. That's been our, that's sort of been our what's happened the past few years, which is that we've got wet springs and then dry falls. And the dry falls are not good. That, I wish that would turn around, because I really feel like these plants going into winter stress is really bad. But it looks like, which it's not a bad thing. We've had quite a bit of snow, but it's been in small quantities. We didn't get, like, I know you guys out on the East Coast got, you know, some of you got 2 feet, some of you got 10 inches. We never had a 10-inch snowfall at any point this year yet. There was a period there where we got snow every single day for all but 5 days. For 47 days, we had measurable snowfall. So there was a lot of snow. It just kind of melted in between, which is maybe good. I don't know if that counts the same as like a big snowfall at the end of the year. I'm not wishing for one, by the way. But so I think the moisture should be pretty good in the soil, which is great. Here, let's just see if we can. This is what I'm desperate to do. Oh, look at this. Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm so happy I can pull some branches out of some things. I'm really sick of looking at the dead brown branches around here. There's Fergus in the window. So that's a good, safe project that I can do today, is empty out those containers if it's not frozen in. But the sun has warmth to it. Let's just see. Oh, this is still, unfortunately, this sucker is, look, it's fully frozen in. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, well, I'll take out what I can anyway. But there are other signs of, sorry, I got dogs everywhere. All the dogs have paint on them. This is why it's super fun painting with dogs. They all are, it's very hard to keep dog hair out of the paint. There are other signs of spring here. The other day, well, for about the past week. Oh, excuse me. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Could I ask you to go around, please, sir? I'll just interject for a moment. My neighbor sent me a picture of one of her Ring cameras, which must have like an AI function that helps identify stuff. And at the bottom, it's from our walk yesterday. It said, a person is walking on the road with a black bear. So that's what AI thought I was doing. That was quite amusing. For the past week or so, I've heard red-winged blackbirds around. We're hearing birds in general. Of course, today was the time change, which, you know, that's why this is probably later than it should be. You know, there's hope. There's signs of life happening out there, so that's good news. Hey, while I'm thinking about it, there is a new thing on YouTube now, which is that you can hype videos. If you look below if you're watching on a device, a computer or iPad or whatever, I don't know how this works on a TV if you're watching on TV. Underneath the video, there's a bunch of buttons, and if you hit ask, I can't even imagine I think you probably get some AI nonsense. And there's the like buttons and all that. But if you go farther down, there's now a hype button. And you can, listen, I'm not fully sure how this button works. I've been doing it to all the videos that I watch that I'm liking and where I want to support the creators. You just hit hype, and what it does is it gives them hype points, and I believe that helps the algorithm get it out farther. And I'm noticing that I'm seeing videos being fed to me that say, you know, this video has been hyped, and so I do feel like it's helping the algorithm know that people want to see it. So anyway, if you feel so inclined, it doesn't cost anything. All you do is hit the hype button and, like, say, give that person hype points. I don't know what it is exactly. I'm sure it'll have some meaning in the beginning, and then YouTube will do something and it won't mean anything anymore. But if you care to do it, I'd love to give it a shot and see how that affects things. And I would appreciate you guys helping out with that if you feel so inclined. And as far as work in the garden goes, I'm going to try my best not to do much this week because I am concerned about this cooling down. I would feel comfortable right now if I felt so inclined to start pruning hydrangeas and stuff like that. But I've got other things to do. So I feel like I still have a big window to do that in, so I won't be doing that yet. But I could. So if you're in a similar zone to me and you felt inclined to do that, I think you're totally, honestly, with panicle hydrangeas, you can do that in fall if you want to or need to. So it's fine. It doesn't really matter that much when. But I do find it easier once we get a little bit of bud swelling a little bit, just a little bit. I don't like to see green, but I like to see a little bit more swelling. Although even if you prune a panicle hydrangea to not above a leaf node, it'll be fine. You might have like a little dead chunk there, but you can always cut that back later. Oh, I didn't tell you guys about I said there were 2 websites that I discovered in the past week. The other one is the National Phenology Association, I think. And, you know, phenology is sort of, there's a definition for it, which I recently looked up to make sure I would get it right, which I've now forgotten. But it's the science of studying how plants and animals behave on certain characteristics. Am I describing this right? Basically, when it comes to gardening, it's when things happen in the garden when other things are also happening. This goes back to I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago. This goes back to the whole prune your roses when the forsythia bloom thing, and plant your peas when the spring peepers, those are frogs, are peeping. That's all part of phenology. And phenology is based on, as the more input you can get into phenology, the better that data is. It's probably true for most things, actually. But it's based on years and years and years of study involving multiple billions of people, as much data as you can get about what's happening at that time in different places. So the Phenology Association is actually seeking sort of citizen scientists to participate and watch certain plants that are in preferably their yard, but someplace where they can track that plant for the whole year and then input data. So this would be, but even if you don't participate in this, and there's an app and stuff where you can sign up to participate, even if, what a mugger, even if you choose not to participate in that part, the information there is really interesting. So one of the things they have is sort of a spring tracker. Now, I'm not talking about spring based on some date on the calendar. We're talking about the characteristics that you think are spring. And all of these plant-related and often animal or wildlife-related things, like for instance, insects tend to hatch at a certain temperature. All of these things are related to heating degree days. And now we're getting really into the woods with some heavy duty data stuff. But it's basically, you can think of heating degree days as an accumulation of heat. And so you can look on there and see how you're looking for this year. And for instance, we are right now we're ahead of our average on heating degree days. So right now we are looking like spring might come. When I looked the other day, it was like 4 days earlier than average. So anyways, it was just really interesting to look. They have some great maps and some great tools on there that's sort of fun to poke around on. So if you ever feel like it feels like spring is really late or it feels like spring is early, well, it might not be you, and you can go look and see. This is nonsense. So anyway, those are 2 websites. Well, actually, the UW climatology one probably doesn't help you much, but perhaps your public university has a similar type of site. I mean, unless you're in Wisconsin. And the Phenology one is kind of interesting. I'll try to put links to those below for you guys so you can check those out if you feel so inclined. And that's it. All right, I hope you guys are having a great day in your garden. This was a bit scattered, as these videos often tend to be, but we're rolling into things now. Like things, it's all happening now. And remind me of that when at some point I get a snowstorm and I'm really grumpy on here. All right, you guys have a great day in your garden. We'll see you soon. Bye.